Well, at least we got a goal. We got a goal of the month candidate, Madueke. Chelsea travel to Emirates Stadium and lose 3-1. Let's get in it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the championship.
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for what is your Chelsea match review, but more specifically a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance at Emirates Stadium versus Arsenal. Before we get into all that, do me the favor, ladies and gentlemen, friends, foes, you know already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button to keep up the latest and newest. As you all know, we are trying to grow this channel, and every like goes a long way in ensuring that we reach our goal. It'll help me and it'll help our sponsors who go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in the description. Wow. I've been a Chelsea supporter for the better part of 20 years, probably about 24 years to be precise. And I can't tell you the last time Chelsea results have been more predictable than now. This is ridiculous. Like, if I were a betting man and I was willing to bet against my team, I'd be a millionaire right now, just given the results, given the performances. You can set your clock to Chelsea right now. It's so easy to predict what they're going to do, how they're going to look on the pitch. Regardless of who's in the starting lineup, you're getting the exact same performances. And it's the most frustrating season I've ever had as a supporter, without question. Bar none. You're beyond questioning whether or not the squad cares about the badge, cares about the supporters. You know, you just think that they have to be fighting for pride right now. Like, where is your overall pride? How do you show up into a London derby against Arsenal when you have a chance to put a real dent into their title hopes and just put an apathetic performance in like that? It's just time and time again, this squad just does not answer the bell, just does not give us the performances that we're asking for. There's absolutely no leadership on the pitch, whether Azpilicueta is on the pitch or off the pitch. There's no real sense of urgency. There's no sense of passion or pride. And it's just, I just wish that the season would just end. And even if it did, it doesn't really take us out of the mire, because then we have to go into the summer and try and figure out what our playing staff is going to be, who we're going to keep, who we're going to get rid of. Can we get rid of the names that we really want to get rid of? And does that actually fix the situation? Are the problems more deep-seated and deep-rooted? These are all the questions that we have to ask ourselves. And it goes beyond like the manager. Like, I know everyone and their mother, you know, is looking at Frank Lampard's record as a manager over the last 20 games. He's won 2 games, drew 1, and lost the rest. A paltry record. It's just pathetic. And leads you to question whether or not management is even the right thing for Frank Lampard right now. I have those questions myself, I must agree. But it goes beyond the manager for me right now. You know, like, have we assembled the right collection of players? Have we assembled a group of people that are hungry and willing to fight? That's the most important thing for me right now. You know, and we can talk about the stuff that happened on the pitch, namely the starting lineup and namely the formation. Like, I've been banging on for how many months now, telling you guys that Chelsea cannot play in a back four. We just do not have a defensive midfielder who's capable enough of soaking up pressure, you know, breaking up play and getting us playing on the front foot. You know, the closest we had to that was Jorginho, and he went to Arsenal. And, you know, you bring in Enzo. Enzo is the furthest thing from a defensive midfielder. He's by far more effective in the, you know, the final third and in the advancing stages in transition. So when you go into a game against Arsenal and you're expecting Chelsea to absorb a lot of pressure and possibly hit them on the counter, you need somebody that is going to be sitting in that middle of the midfield who can absorb pressure, of course, break up play, and get us into transition. And we just didn't have anyone, not named N'Golo Kante, capable of doing that today. And for that reason, you're putting an immense amount of pressure on Thiago Silva and Fofana, because we just don't have that natural defensive midfielder in the middle of the pitch who can help make that back two a back three. And it was evident to me today, like, Chelsea cannot play in a back four. We have to play in a back three just so we have the right complement of defenders to break up play for us. I mean, our best football has been played when we've been playing in a back three, a back five, however you want to categorize it. And that's not to say that we're miles better in a back three than we are in a back four. We are terrible regardless of how we play because we just don't have the right personnel to suit any particular style at this point in time. But I feel like Chelsea play their best football in the back three because we have three dedicated defenders that allow for the other players to be more on the front foot and attack. They don't have to worry about them so much about their defensive responsibilities. When you play in a back four, you have two dedicated defenders in yesterday, Thiago Silva and Wesley Fofana, and then you're relying on one of our midfielders to make up that back three. Any team in world football right now does not defend with a back two only and then push everyone forward unless you're extremely cavalier and you don't have any worry about defending at all. Like, that just does not happen in world football. You defend with three, you attack with seven, and that's basically how it works. And Chelsea right now, when they're playing with a back two, a back four, they're defending with two and a half maybe. And a lot of the responsibility is being thrusted onto the shoulders of, Kovacic, who's defensively terrible. No awareness whatsoever. You have obviously Enzo, who's coming into this very new. I don't think that he's very defensively aware as well. It's just not his strengths, not where his strengths lie, and he's being thrust into that position. And of course, N'Golo Kante, who we use more of as a box-to-box midfielder, a guy that puts an immense amount of pressure on the defenders, puts an immense amount of pressure on attackers, when they're trying to play out from the back and whatnot. So he's in a suitable role, but he's the only one in that midfield three that has the ability to, break up play in our defensive third. So this entire team is just completely imbalanced, and we're just not seeing the performances from players that we put into desirable roles. Now I'm gonna say this, I know that many Chelsea supporters were very excited about seeing Madueke on the pitch, Aubameyang on the pitch. Maybe less Sterling because he's been abysmal all year. Let's just be real about that. And, just to shuffle the decks, give us something new, something else to look at. But I still don't understand the selections. I don't understand how you can go into a game at the Emirates and not have a creator on the pitch. I know a lot of people point to Enzo as being that creative outlet, but he is too deep to impact the game in the where we need it to. We need somebody that links what Enzo does to our attackers. And that to me is a number 10. That to me is João Felix. That to me is Mason Mount if you want. I don't know, Gallagher if you want. Pulisic can play there. Whoever, Havertz, I don't care who it is. We need somebody that can link the midfield and the attackers. That's how you get guys on the front foot, and that's how you create goal-scoring opportunities, by creating a mismatch in the final third. And right now, we just have no link whatsoever. Every time Madueke got on the ball down that right flank, he was basically just running down a cul-de-sac by himself, dribbling past a couple, and then turning over the ball. Looking for cutbacks at the top of the 18, and of course, not having anybody there who has the ability to make any real influence there. And this has just become rinse, wash, repeat with Chelsea this entire season. We just do not have a team capable of hurting teams in the final third. We just don't. No, we don't have any goal scorers. No, regardless of whether or not you play Aubameyang, Fofana, Havertz, Pulisic, Sterling, it doesn't matter who it is you put on the pitch. Our attackers are just not capable of making inroads to scoring goals. It just does not happen. It does not happen. So that to me is where most of the problems lie. The fact that we don't have a link to our attackers is one, but the fact that even if we did, our attackers are just not capable of scoring goals. I kid you not, guys. I kid you not. I'm saying this as bold-faced as I can, and I really think that this is where we are right now. Had it not been for Thomas Tuchel's early run, that mediocre run of form, we would be in a relegation battle right now. We'd be in relegation. This is relegation form. It's been like this the entire season, and I think we need to just start from ground zero again and identify what it is we want to be as a Chelsea football club, what type of football we want to play. I know that starts with the manager, it starts with directors and whatnot, but we need an answer to that immediately. If they're bringing in Potter, I don't care who they bring in anymore. I really don't. The fundamentals and the first thing that needs to be settled right now is what type of football club do we want to be? And can we get the players to buy into that particular philosophy? It's worse than relegation form for me right now because we just don't have an identity of how we want to play football. It's worse. And I just don't see an end to it until we can really bring in a manager that has an idea of what we want to do and we address this playing staff. I just can't come to the grips with the fact that Chelsea has spent so much money on attacking players and have absolutely no synergy on the pitch. We have so many similar players playing in the exact same positions that don't give you any sort of like fluidity, don't give you any sort of like chemistry, synergy, don't give you any sort of like variation in style of play. It's the exact same player with a different number on the back of their shirt. You know, it's crazy to think that regardless of who we put on the pitch, the results are exactly the same. It's to the point where supporters are basically wanting to see players because they haven't seen them in a while. And because they haven't seen them in a while, they're forgetting how poor they were when they were playing. It's like we just want to see something else at this point in time. But even as you see something else, you're not seeing anything different. It's the exact same thing, regardless of who comes onto the pitch. And I'm sorry, we are nowhere near as dynamic and fluid a team to be changing tactics from week to week to week. I mean, that's part of the problem with this playing staff right now. They just don't know what their roles are. You know, from one week to the next, they're playing completely different tactics, completely different setups, and we're expecting them to give us A1 performances. Like, settle on a style of play and just run it to the ground. I don't care anymore. All we need is one more point. Just do whatever it is to secure that one more point, and we'll move into the summer and address the rest later. But don't give me, you know, a back five versus Brentford, which made absolutely no sense, and then you're playing a back four against Arsenal. Like, what thought process is that, first of all? Against Arsenal, a more attack-minded team, a team that is more on the front foot, that hurts you in multiple places on the pitch. You're playing with a back four versus Brentford, who like to hit you on a counter. You're playing with back three. I don't get it, guys. I'm completely lost for words, and I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. You know, I know it feels like we've blown this entire thing up, and we're still waiting for the dust to settle, and it just doesn't seem like the dust is going to be settling anytime soon. There's so much work to be done. So much work, and you know, the players that we brought in are not showing any signs of adaptability. They aren't showing any signs of like settling into the squad. I think it was after Champions League result, Drogba was on Canal Sports and speaking about how he doesn't recognize his club anymore. And I don't think that what he was referring to was the playing staff, the ownership, the directors, the board. I think what he's referring to was the actual identity of the club. The club that used to fight tooth and nail for victories, you know, that put everything on the line to see that they achieve their objectives and whatnot. And the fact that we don't have a reference point for leadership, for embodying these values that we have as a club. Like, where is our captain? I'm not talking about the person that wears the armband. I'm talking about the person that embodies these values that we have as a club and puts everything into his performances on the pitch. I know Azpilicueta doesn't play a lot, but even when he does, he's the last guy you want to see with the armband on, because he just does not play with the same sort of energy and passion and commitment that we need to see from our captain, our on-field representation of our manager, you know, our on-field representation of the ethos of this club. And that's the problem I have right now with this club right now. We just don't have an identifiable leader. Somebody that is going to take us through battles, take us through, you know, difficult moments and say, just follow me. I know where we're going. I've not lost my sense of direction. I've not lost my sense of what this club means. And that's the problem I have right now with this club. There's just rudderless. We just don't have anybody. I thought bringing Frank Lampard back would, at the very least, give the team somebody to, you know, aspire to look at and say, well, this guy achieved so much at this club. I mean, I know he's not the greatest manager, but at least he is a reference point to what this club once was. And maybe we can use him to coax these performances out of some of these other players. At least give them an identity, an identifiable way of playing that it resembles something like the Chelsea of old. And none of that has come to the pass right now. We're just rudderless. When we look, we're just spiraling downward at an alarming pace, and there's nobody that is in place to stop it right now. And guys, I don't know what to do about it. I'm at wit's end. I don't know how you solve a problem like that. I mean, it really just comes down to just starting over again. And are we in a position to really do that again? Are we in a position where we want to start from scratch all over again and build this thing from the ground up? It's just frustrating. But I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. I am so frustrated. Please just end the season. Like, what have we had to like hang our hat on this season? You know, that doesn't start with, you know, buying players. Like, is that the only thing that we can actually look towards as being somewhat positive? The fact that we got Enzo, Mudryk, you know, Madueke, you know, Badiashile. Like, these are just names, man. They have not yet spoken the Chelsea language yet. They have not yet, taken to the badge and taken to the ethos of this club. None of that has happened, and everything else that has happened this year has just been a complete and utter disaster, from the owners to the board to the directors to the manager to the playing staff to the groundskeeper. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just been awful at this club, and I've just had enough. And I'm sure I'm not the only Chelsea supporter that feels the same way. We just want this to end. All we've been asking for is 1 point to say that we've guaranteed safety. Not that I'm worried about whether or not we're gonna be in the Premier League next year. That's almost a foregone conclusion. It's the fact that I want to see us meet an objective. Meet one objective this season. Can we do that? Can we get 1 point? Is it too much to ask? Really? The amount of money that we spent, we can't guarantee 1 point between now and the end of the season? Wow. Unreal. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I'm gonna try and keep this from sounding too much like a rant. Keep the blue flag flying high. Up the Chels. We go again.